link? Or is that the link it sent you?
That was the reminder link. I can try the other link.
Check it now.
I just sent it again. That one worked. I can see you. You see me?
I cannot see you, Greg. Can you chat?
I can raise my hand to request to speak. Oh, there. I can hear you.
You can hear me? I cannot see you, Greg.
Oh.
Can you chat?
I raised my hand.
Yeah, good. That's all I needed.
There's 3 people. Let me move. Yeah, I can hear you too.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, I'm sitting there.
We'll get started in a few minutes. If you guys are on, if you want to just say your name in the chat and who you work for, that would be really great. Greg, can you try the chat out? I've not done this before. Beautiful. Thanks, Chris. How you doing? This would be way easier if you guys could talk back to me. I don't even get to talk to anybody. Greg, it doesn't let me accept you to talk.
There's like I raised my hand.
I know.
Oh, he doesn't let you accept it? Oh.
Hey, Rob, how you doing? We're going to get started in 2 minutes. All right, it's 5:30, so we're going to get started. I'm sure there'll be some other people hopping on. But I appreciate you guys being here. At 5:30 is kind of a tough time, but with my schedule, it worked out. So today I'm going to share with you how to earn $100,000 in real estate. If you guys don't know me, I know Greg and Rob, you know me. Chris, I know I don't know you yet, but we'll get to know you. So what sets us apart? I've been selling real estate since 2006, and we historically have sold anywhere from 150 to 200 homes. The last few years has been more like 170, been a little bit more challenging. I was recognized by Realtor magazine 30 under 30. We have more 5-star reviews than any real estate agent along the lakeshore, so we always try to create some raving fans, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. We've been recognized in Real Trends, state of Michigan, top teams, top realtors. And my team consists of 6 other agents. We have a full-time office manager, a listing coordinator, and then a customer care department, kind of our ISA situation. So that's a little bit about me. I do want this to be interactive. That will help me. If you guys have questions, just type in the chat box. If you're new and just joining, please share who you are. That's helpful for me and who you work for. But again, the more you're going to get out is by asking questions, and we'll go from there. So if you guys could just type in the chat box, and maybe some of you are already making over $100,000, but what's holding you back from making $100,000? If you're already making $100,000, what's holding you back from making $150,000 or $200,000? If you guys could just quick type in a few things that you think is holding you back, that would be great. So, hi, LB. As you guys kind of type some things that might be holding you back from 100,000, I'm just going to kind of break down what I see in our market right now. Greg says lack of good leads. That's a good one. I hear that from my team quite a bit. So if I'm looking at an average sale price of $365,000, I know your sale price are different than mine. Average commission percentage is 2.75%. The average commission is going to be $10,000, and I'm definitely seeing a downward pressure on commission right now, where we might be getting into the 2.5 instead of what it was 3 for so many years. Commission split 60%. Often many of you are probably on a better commission split, but if you're on a team, I'm just going to kind of give this as an average of 60% that you get to keep. Commission per transaction is $6,000, and to make $100,000, you're going to need to have 17 transactions. And I figure in our market, you're probably in that $250,000 to $400,000 sale price. Average sale price, I think our team last year was $400,000, and then so depending on market, probably 14 to 20 deals. So I just hear you guys saying lack of high volume sales. LB, obviously working a part-time job is going to make it harder, but it's doable. But you got to be very consistent with what you do. Lack of good leads, you said that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys sharing that. And we're going to touch on some leads that kind of my lead generation that I would do, the strategy I would do, some cheap things. So for me, like, honestly, anyone can make $100,000 in this business if you spend enough doing it. And my goal is not to talk about spending a whole bunch of money. There's a ton of agents who are going to just spend tons of money on Zillow leads. They're spending anywhere from $800 to $1,000 per lead, and they're not netting any money. They just want to see their name at the top of a plaque. So for me, this is more about how can we not only make $100,000, but how can we net $100,000? So Rob, I like that. You do like the boat. That's good. So anyone can make $100,000 in real estate. Sadly, not everyone will. If you guys want to just do a quick answer here, what do you think is the average number of sales that a real estate agent has per year across the country? Just quick type that in there. And what I'm going to talk about today is how environment affects $100,000, your mindset. Really, environment and mindset go together. The skills you need, some systems, and then really consistency. And then at the end, we're going to finish our class with 18 hours, kind of my plan on how 18 hours of dedicated work a week can propel you to 100,000. So I see 4, I see 10, Miranda, less than 1. The actual average is close to what Greg says, 3 to 4. Years ago, it was 5 to 7. But with the number of agents that are in the business and the number of agents getting into the business. So number of sales gone down, and then the number of agents in the business has gone up. So yeah, we're at like 3 to 4 per agent. So if we're talking about making $100,000, that's going to be anywhere from 14 to 20 sales. And I know a lot of you guys have sales. You have, you might sell $50,000. So this presentation isn't necessarily to get you from 0 to 100. It's to get you from 50 to $100,000. So it could be getting an extra 7 to 10 sales here. And that's my goal for you guys tonight. So what I found, the elite of the elite, the best of the best, people at the bottom compete and people at the top collaborate. So to me, like, environment is crucial. So who do you spend time with? Who are the agents in your office? What events do you go to? Who are your coaches? Are you following people that are producing, and who do you work closest to? Those are all really big questions to kind of think about, because the environment you in affects your mindset. What they say, and studies have been done, that the average of your 5 closest friends' income is about what your average is going to be as well. So who you hang around with is going to determine how successful you are. So especially when you're at work, who are you hanging out with? Who are you doing lunch with? Are you listening to someone else and what they're doing, or are you staying at home? So I want to encourage you guys to find 1 or 2 people at your work that you can kind of just shadow, learn from, ask questions, take them out to lunch, because most of the people who are the top producers are willing to share what they're doing. They actually say if you work close to a top producers, and they've done studies on this as well, if you work close to a top producer, your production is going to increase by 15%. But the opposite is even worse. If you work close to someone who's not a top producer, a low producer, your production can be affected negatively by 30%. So think about that. When you go to work, 1, do you get to the office, and 2, do you surround yourself with high producing agents? If you don't, then I encourage you to find a couple of people that you can mentor, or not that you can mentor, that can mentor you, that you'll take them out to lunch, like I said, and just be surrounded and learn what they're doing. It's really comes down to a mindset. If you guys could just type in the chat, like, do you guys even go to the office? I hope you guys do, but do you have a place that you can go that you can collaborate with other agents? One of the reasons why I believe our team is so successful, and so I had 4 full-time agents on my team last year, and all of them made over $95,000. And it's because I believe we're surrounded by people who are like-minded and have a goal of hitting the goals of making $100,000. Because if someone's on my team, that's my goal, is for them to make at least $100,000 on my team. Now, it's tough if you don't have a good environment. I'm not saying that you need to quit the office or start at a different company, but I do think there's some things that you can do to kind of create your own environment. So there's some things that I've done in the past, and I want you guys to kind of start thinking about this. Who you surround yourself is extremely important. Your mindset and what you believe is crucial for you to make $100,000. So you need to be kind of being around people who are successful. So one thing that I've done, and I've done in the past, is to start or join a leads group. It's much easier to join a leads group than it is to start one, but it's also hard to find a real estate position because they're always the one that's taken the most. So if you're not familiar with leads groups, they're like B&I groups. They have through the chamber. You can start your own. But most of these, they meet weekly. So weekly, you're meeting with other business owners who are like-minded, who are trying to grow. This is the sort of people that I want to see you around, because it can build kind of your identity and build what you believe is possible. All these people have a growth mindset. So actually, I just joined one about 2 months ago. We meet every Thursday from 7:15 to 8:15. We all share leads, and I believe it's going to be integral for my business moving forward. And I encourage you guys to start looking at what's out there for being around a better environment. If your environment at work isn't awesome, find other people who can do it. So I encourage you to look into leads groups, look into B&I groups, search it on Google. They're not easy. They're not always the most fun, but you're going to be surrounded by people who are looking for your business to grow. Have any of you read the book, The 7 Levels of Communication? I'm a lifelong learner, and I've known that the more I learn, the more I implement, the better my business is. So in his book, Michael Mayer, he talks about scheduling back-to-back meetings at a single location. So then, again, this is creating your own environment. So I encourage you guys to read this book. But basically what he does is you'll meet at like a restaurant or coffee shop, and you'll set like 3 or 4 meetings all in a row. So you might be the first one at 10 a.m. and you're going to meet with a mortgage lender. At 10:30, you have like an appraiser coming in. These are all people who you've given business to or you hope to build a relationship with. So like attorneys would be great. Lenders would be good. Obviously, people like handymen and different things that might come across buyers or sellers that you're working with. So basically what it is instead of going from one place to the next, you have them all come to the same place and they come to you. So for 30 minutes, you basically do like the Ford. If you guys aren't familiar with that, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, you just talk about them. You dive into their lives, because the more you dive into their lives, it's going to feel like the more you care about them. And the nice thing about his plan, and he talks about this, is when you have these meetings and the one person's leaving at 10:30 and another person is showing up, it allows you to introduce your clients to each other. So when they're about to leave and you just say, hey, I have another appointment at 10:30. So, and a lot of people, they don't want to meet that long anyways. So you just tell them, hey, from 10 to 10:30, we're going to meet. And then when they come in, you have this forward conversation. And then at 10:30, when the next person comes, you just quickly introduce, you say, hey, Michael, I wanted you to meet Greg. Greg's my accountant, and you guys should get together too. It's just a great way to build community, and it's a great way to create your own environment. Another thing that you guys can do, I don't know if you ever looked into it, but there's something called Meetup, and Meetup is something where people share their interests, and they join groups, kind of a similar like-minded people. So if you want to be in running, you can see what Meetup groups do running. If it's chess, you can see what groups do chess. If it's watching sports, whatever it might be, there's groups locally that you can attend, because the more people you're around, the more people you're going to be able to get business from. And you're creating an environment that is not just, you and trying to do things on your own. If you work from home, it's going to be really tough for you to get excited to build your business. It's really tough when someone hangs up the phone on you or yells at you or screams at you or slams the door on you. If you don't have people around you, it's going to be really hard to increase your business to make it to 100,000. So I encourage you to surround yourself with some other people. One of the things that I thought, and I've talked with my team about, is to start either like a sports group, especially if you're into like a sports team that might not be local, different than Michigan or Michigan State. If you like the Cubs or something that you're going to find group of people that are really going to be attracted to you because you're like different in town. I've heard of agents who are just crushing it with this strategy, and they do these meetups and they watch games together. They build businesses together. That's something that I would consider if I was newer into the business. The other one, and again, sorry, dads, if you're on here, but like moms groups, like those are so popular because they just want to help each other and they're in a similar situation. I have someone in my team who might be starting a moms group, and it's just something where you're literally mingling with other people who like you. I was just seeing you, LB, ladies pickleball group. Like it's that same thing. It's the environment that you're in is going to determine your success. And then your environment can be in your car. So when I'm struggling or when I want to really grow my business, that's really when I really dive into more education. I listen to my real estate coach. I spend close to $50,000 a year on real estate coaching. It improves my environment by learning from the best of the best. With listening, you can have your own environment everywhere you go. So if you guys rode in the car with me, it wouldn't be the most exciting. Typically, I'm listening to podcasts on real estate, on business. I have Audible. So it's just a lot of like listening and reading and then implementing. It's not just listening to music, which I know can build you up, and especially over a long day. But if you really want to grow, you need to create your environment, because the environment you're in is absolutely crucial. So think about it when you go into the office tomorrow. Am I around the right people? If not, start leaning into people who might be able to help you. Try to find a different seat in the office. Take them out to lunch. That's really going to help you grow your business. So after environment, I don't know why this is. Sorry, guys. My PowerPoint's a little messed up. But so there's kind of two mindsets, because the environment affects the mindset, but then there's the average agent mindset. Like, hey, if inventory gets better, if interest rates improve, I don't know if this sounds familiar to you, but only if I had better leads. I know, Greg, I think you said something about better leads. Once the market gets better, so will my sales, versus the $100,000 agent who takes full ownership instead of pointing fingers. They thrive regardless of what the market is doing. They focus on improving their skills. They find solutions instead of having excuses, and they create opportunity despite low inventory. Now, I'd love to hear it just quickly in chat. When did you guys get in the business? I know some of you have been in the business a long time, but some of you, if you got in kind of during the COVID years, you haven't really experienced like a hard market. I'll give you guys a minute because it's kind of a delay on the chat, but I got in the business in 2006, 2007, the market came crumbling down. So 8, 9, 10 was really tough. Yeah, Greg, you were there with me. But now when we got from like 2013 until 2000, basically 22, like the market was really good. Like it was always improving. And then 2023 hit and it got a lot more challenging. And I think a lot of us kind of forgot how to work because it just came easy. So if you got in, I see one of you got in during COVID. That actually it's almost tougher because business was good, and then it was bad. And now we're kind of realizing that we really need to get out there and work and push to make $100,000. And that's where I think I see the average agent mindset is, once the market gets better, so will my sales. Yes, that's true. But you could why not have the best year ever, even when the market is down? Because the reality is we're in a tough market right now. Sales are down, inventory is down. And I don't see it necessarily getting way better this year. Yeah, there's talks about interest rates coming down, but we still need inventory. So we need to get out there, change our mindset, change our environment. And that kind of starts with this next thing on our identity. So I bring this up. And I've kind of focused on this quite a bit on like, how do you see yourself as a real estate agent? I say, what's your identity as a real estate agent? Do you see yourself as a $100,000 agent? Most agents that I found, they see themselves as the realtor who made, let's just say $50,000. If the highest year they've ever done, they're a $50,000 producing agent. If they've done $100,000, well, now they become a $100,000 agent. Now, if you made $100,000 back during COVID, when anyone and everyone was selling, and it didn't matter what you put put the price at, like it was much easier. But really the mindset that I want to encourage you guys is to really start becoming the agent that you want to be before you actually hit that. If you haven't hit $100,000, well, start believing that you can do it. Start doing the things that other agents are doing or hitting $100,000. Versus waiting for it to happen. And that's kind of the question that I have here. Do you get before you become, or do you become before you get? And it's kind of a confusing thing, but do you get before you become, or do you become before you get? I firmly believe if you want to make $100,000, you need to become that agent before you become that $100,000 agent. So if you're a $50,000 producer, start following or hanging around agents who are doing $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. Start doing the things that they're doing. Get to the office when they're getting. Make phone calls like they're doing. Do open houses. Don't just wait for it to happen. If you want to become a $250,000 producer, then start believing and acting like a $250,000 producer. I have 6 agents on my team, 4 are full time, and Paul on my team. He's been my top producer on my team for each of the last 3 years. And I firmly believe that he identifies as the number 1 real estate agent on my team. And he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he stays number 1 on our team. Now, there's other agents on my team, new agents on our team, and they are starting to believe that, hey, I have the ability to be number 1. And not only are they doing what Paul's doing, now they're starting to do more than what Paul's doing because they want to become that agent that he's become. So really, guys, I just want to really highlight like who you hang around with affects your mindset, and your mindset of who you are completely affects the success you're going to have. I don't know if you guys read Think and Grow Rich. It's kind of the same concept, but what you think about comes about. So I really encourage you guys to start thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to become a $100,000 agent? And how do I keep that mindset over the long run? So kind of now we're going to dive into a few more things. So why agents don't make $100,000. And it really comes down to, five, there's a bigger picture, but 5 big things. So they don't have a big why, and we'll talk about that. They don't have the training. Now, I think there's tons of training programs out there, coaches, webinars, podcasts, YouTube, all those things. So there's enough training out there, but I think oftentimes people don't realize that they need to do it. They don't have leads. They don't have follow-up, and they're too busy. So we're going to dive into big why. So I'd love if you guys could type in the chat, like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why is making $100,000 important to you? Why is $150,000? And maybe it's just 50, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be $100,000. I do want to see you guys grow, but what is getting you out of bed when deals aren't happening? What's getting you into the office when yesterday 5 people hung up the phone on you? What's getting you into the office and making that call when deals are starting to fall apart? I'd love to hear, like, what's your why? Like, what's driving you? And I'm going to share with you guys kind of what gets me out of bed. So I know some of you know me. I got married in 2007. In 2009, my wife was in a car accident. She herniated her disc and back. And my big why at the time was I wanted to have a job that allowed her not to have to work. And unfortunately, in 2009, when she had the car accident, she ended up having chronic pain, and she went through like 10 years of just awful pain, 30 times a year to the ER, sometimes up to a month in the hospital. And my big why actually worked out because I didn't want to work, but now she couldn't work at all. And then in 2013, we had our twins. And we saw early on that our son had just some issues with being around people. Great kid, but he struggles with ADHD. He struggles with OCD. He struggles with autism. And when I say struggle, he's still thriving. But that became kind of my new big why. When he was struggling with OCD, it was really like a religious thing. And for like 6 months, he struggled to, I don't know about stay alive, but he was trying to take his life at times because he felt like he should be in heaven. And it was at that time where my why kind of switched from, helping my wife not have to work, which was, kind of where I was at. But it came down to more, how can I provide the best care for my son so that he can have the best life possible? And those are the sort of whys that, when I think about, why do I go to a leads group at 7:15 each week? Or why am I meeting with my team at 11 a.m. each day for role play? Like, it's those things that kind of drive me to continue. So, and I don't need you guys to have like this powerful, thing that happened to you or, kind of, some tough situations. But if you want to really be successful, you need to kind of dive into like, why are you doing this job? You're obviously on this call for a reason. We all want to make more money. I think money's great. But if you don't have enough, direction and a big enough why, it's going to be hard to keep going when times get tough. And I'm going to tell you about two rules for me that are important. I don't know, we're all at different ages, but one's the rule of 18 and one's the rule of 78. So rule of 18 basically means that by the time my kids turn 18, they're potentially going to be out of the house and I have no, I hope to have more time with them, but I might not have more time with them because they're going to be off in college and doing their own thing. So from now, and they're 11 years old, they're almost 12. So I basically have 6 more family vacations, summer vacations with them. I have 6 more Christmases where I know they're going to be around. And I hope that I've developed a good enough relationship they want to stay with me. But I'm looking at what I'm doing now and having the income to be able to do some cool things. I'm hoping to bring my kids to Disney. Like, I could do a really cool Disney trip in the fall. Like, that's kind of a big thing for me where my kids are at. And you guys might have older kids, you might not have kids at all, but just something to kind of think about as you go on your journey. And then obviously the rule of 78 is kind of the opposite. The average age that people die in America is 78. So if you think about either your age, how much more time do you have? But, what about your loved ones, your parents, your friends, how many more Christmases do you have? what can you be doing today in your job to be able to provide some really cool things for your family? So I just want to encourage you guys to look at that. And then one thing that I've told my team several times is something called remember tomorrow. And the reason I say that is people oftentimes procrastinate. I talk about my why and getting out of bed, but remember tomorrow. So I've had it in days where I've gone home and then the next day it's like, okay, I'm going to make 15 calls. Why didn't I make 10 calls yesterday? And then I get to work and I don't do anything. And then the next day it's like, oh crap, I need to make 25 calls now. So when you're going to work, remember how you're going to feel tomorrow if you don't do what you said you're going to do. If your goal is to make 100 calls in a week, just make 20 each day. Remember tomorrow how you're going to feel when you wake up. Instead of saying, oh man, I got 40 more calls to make today, say, oh, I'm glad I made 20 yesterday, or I'm glad I made 30. I only need to make 10 today. So maybe write that down or put that, I've had some agents who've printed that out, remember tomorrow, and put that on their wall so they can always see it. So yeah, that's just kind of my mindset is, remember tomorrow when I'm going to work. So skills, let's kind of dive into some nuts and bolts here. So our team and how we're set up is every day I do script practice with my team. So 15 minutes, I just practice and basically just walk through scenarios. See, what I found with most real estate agents, they don't practice outside of the calls. They actually practice on their clients. If you want to be successful, you need to spend more time practicing than practicing with your clients, because when you practice with your clients, you're going to mess up quite a bit and you're going to miss out on opportunities. So one script that I have learned and one script that is very easy, and you can screenshot this. It's LP Mama is what it's typically called. Most of you have all heard it, but we turned it into LP Ma'am because we don't like asking about people's mortgage. We don't want to scare them off before we set the appointment. We want to set the appointment before. So when a lead comes in, I want to know what to say. I want to have the skills and my team to have the skills that when we do get these leads finally, that we can convert them. I know, Greg, you said early on that you want good leads, or the issue you haven't made is because you don't have good leads. I firmly believe that the quality of the lead is determined by the skill and the will of the agent. The quality of the lead is determined by the skill and the will of the agent. Now, there are some crummy leads, and you're going to have great leads, and some are just going to want to buy homes. But 95% of the people who register on a website don't need to buy or don't want to buy. It's that 5% that are like, okay, I just want to do something. The 95%, we need to have a scripts and the skills to convert them, to lead them down a funnel so that we can convert them long term. So my team practices it. We practice this today. Someone comes in, hey, Greg, I saw you just on our website. I saw you looking at homes in Holland. I'd love to tell you more about that. What brings you to the website? And then they share a little bit. Oftentimes people say, well, I'm just looking. And I think people see that as like, oh man, they're just looking. Now what do I do? One thing that you can do just to make it kind of fun is to say, well, Greg, I just happen to be just looking for people who are looking for real estate. That's great. How can I help you? And then you dive in. I saw you looking in Holland. Is that where you're looking to live? And then what you want to do is you want to ask the question, you listen to their answer, you confirm what they said, and then you ask another question. So they might say, yeah, we're looking in Holland. Oh, great. You're looking in Holland. Tell me a little bit more. Why is Holland important to you? And then they're going to dive in and say, well, Holland's important to me because my job is there. Oh, great. I love that your job's there. Do you prefer to be on the north side of Holland or the south side of Holland? And you just go through a conversation and really try to build like a friendship with them versus going from question to question. Like, I do think scripts are important, but if you can't just have a conversation with someone, you're going to have a really hard time building rapport and building that relationship. And then it's going to come to a point, well, tell me a little bit more. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms are you looking for? Oh, I want 3 beds, 2 baths. Well, 3 beds, 2 baths. Why is that important to you? Like, you guys we need to dive a little bit deeper than just 3 beds. Okay, great. Well, what price point? Great. Well, where are you looking? Great. Do you want a ranch, or what size, lot do you want? Like, you want to find out some of the whys, because then you can use that later on when they're looking and really get to know their situation. Now, like, motivation's key. Why are you looking to move? When are you hoping to move by? Like, you want to find out where those things are. And then a great question that I just learned recently, because oftentimes people don't know what, they don't know what next step is when you're kind of getting through this, and they might be like, okay, I'm really not interested. Well, Greg, tell me this, or I have a question for you. What is your next step in your home buying process? What is your next step in the home buying process? It gets them to just think a little bit, to say, you know what, I don't have all the answers. Maybe I do need this person who I'm talking with. Because then you can turn around and say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, the next best step working with hundreds of clients like yourself is to do just a quick 15-minute strategy session, and we can share a little bit more about what the market's doing. We can talk about some potential off-market properties, and I'd love to meet with you later today. Does today at 6 p.m. work, or does tomorrow at 4 p.m. work? Is this resonating with anyone? If you want to put that in the chat. So you guys need to find somebody, like our team, we practice all together, but you really need to find someone that who can hold you accountable, but also somebody who can practice this stuff with you. If maybe it doesn't even have to be a real estate agent. It can be a friend. It could be it could be a coworker. It could be a spouse. It could be a relative. Like, if you guys aren't practicing outside of your clients, you're going to be messing up on opportunities. So, Tom Brady, and I think most of the greats, they probably practice more than anybody else. I think of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And I always find that odd that the best of the best are the ones who are practicing when it should be the average team player, the average person who should be practicing more. But the greats realize how important that is. So most people stop when they get it right. And this is something that, just kind of a quick story about Tom Brady, like practice until you can't get it wrong. Like that's when you've mastered it, when you can't get it wrong. And I heard a story recently where the running back for Tom Brady's team, when he was on the Patriots, said practices were the absolute worst with Tom, because he would practice a handoff over and over and over and over. You'd say, you missed it by a foot. Stand here on this side. Hey, you delayed just a little bit. He would practice it so that when games come, it just became just the normal thing. So if you aren't practicing in role play, you're practicing on your clients. So one of the reasons why Tom's so successful, and this is something, I don't know if you guys have heard this before, and I've always taken it a certain way. So it says like you get knocked down 9 times, you get up 10, or you get knocked down 3, you get up the next time. I don't know if you guys have heard that before. But I heard it recently. What that means is if you get knocked down 9 times, you actually get up 10 times in a row. It's not just getting up the 10th time, it's doing it right 10 times in a row. And that's why it's so important for our team and why we've been so successful. And one of the reasons why nearly every agent on our team makes $100,000 is because they've practiced and they have the skills when it comes to actually being in the game. And some of my agents are like, oh man, do I really, I know this, Luke, I know what I'm doing. It's not necessarily to learn new skills, but it's to keep them sharp. I just want my agents to be sharp when they get on the phone. So we do 15 minutes. I know there's some coaches who say if you can do 30 minutes a day, that's best. We're at 15 minutes a day, and we're seeing massive success because we're doing that. So find somebody you can role play with. So now it's like, okay, that's great, but where do we get leads, and where do we get leads inexpensively? So if I'd say if I started in any city, like if you drop me in any city in America, there would be one thing that I would do, and it would be open houses. And I would do every single open house that I could do. I'd probably do an open house every single day. I'd get either a listing myself, which, might take some time. I'd work with a company that has other agents that have listings, or I would reach out to for sale by owners. And I know for sale by owners can be intimidating, but I would just tell them one of two things. I either say, I'm going to list your home for free, and it will cost a little bit of money to do photos and stuff. Or, hey, I'd love to host an open house at your home. You can be here. I will talk all about your property. I will talk it up. I will negotiate. I'll handle the whole transaction for 0%, 1%, whatever it is. But if the buyer who comes doesn't want my house or doesn't want your house, I ask that those clients go to me. And not every for sale by owner is going to do it. I think it'd probably be a better strategy to say, hey, I'll list for 1%, or I'll list. Again, I don't advise this on the long run because it gets expensive. But to start your business, for you guys to hit $100,000, one open house per week. Take 2 weeks off, 50 open houses. Now, not just doing an open house, because what I found is most real estate agents, they spend 2 hours or 1.5 hours at the open house. And what they really should be doing is they should spend 1 or 2 hours getting people to come to the open house and then sit at the open house for an hour and a half. So we call these like mega open houses. Our team has had some success with this. And it's not just putting up one sign. It's putting up to like, now my coach says do 50. That seems excessive. But the last one I did, I set out 30. And it's basically putting like 2 signs at each corner. Like if they're, they're all over the place. Now, to get people to show up, you should door knock. 10 homes on the right, 10 homes on the left, and 10 homes across the street. So 20 homes. And if you can do 50, that's even better. But the strategy with doing these mega open houses is not necessarily to sell that home, is to get more business. So when you're knocking on these doors, basically what you're doing is you're going to bring a directional sign because you've paid for those. You can buy them for a few bucks. They don't have to even be like your own brand specific. You can buy them at like Menards. Knock on the door and say, you know what? We're trying to get a lot of traffic. I just listed the home around the neighborhood. And would it be all right if I need space to put a sign in your yard? Like, ask permission. Most people are going to be like, yeah, that's fine, just for an open house. Like, you'll be holding a sign. And then before they go and after they say yes, or even if they say no, hey, hand them an invitation to the open house. Hey, we'd love to see if you have anyone who might be interested. The first half of the open house is for neighbors only. And I'd love for you guys to invite some people who might want to be in your neighborhood. And when they see your signs and you knock on the door and you start inviting people to your open house, you're going to start generating the buzz that you're the real estate agent to work with. And you might not get it the first time. You might not get it the second time. But my guess is 1 out of every 5, that's kind of what we're seeing with our team. 1 out of every 5 is going to turn into a client. So if you do 50 open houses, you should be able to generate 10 new either buyers or sellers just from open houses. Now, again, if you don't have a lot of listings yourself, then become friends with someone who does. Talk with agents who don't necessarily want to do them. Even like builders, they'll sometimes let you do them for sale by owners. But that would be the number one thing. And I believe if I was put in any city, anywhere in the country, within 6 months, I'd have 10 deals pending. And then I would start just door knocking and offering like a free market analysis for their property. I mean, you could probably do that when you're asking for open houses. But if specifically, if you like moved into your neighborhood, you should be door knocking your neighborhood. And it's not easy. Like when I got in the business in 2006, that's all I did. I picked a neighborhood and I went door to door just saying, hey, do you have plans of selling now or in the near future? But I was committed that I was going to be successful in this business. Like that was my mindset. I was going to succeed no matter what. And then calling your sphere, especially if you're new, it's harder to call your sphere. But every quarter you should be calling your sphere. That's free. It's easy. There are people who know, like, and trust you. Just touch base with them. One thing that I found which is really nice, and it'd be like 1 time a year I would do it, is say, hey, I know, like you guys know I'm in real estate. You've been getting my flyers. I've talked with you in the past. Do you guys know of someone that I can promote for my business? Do you have a business yourself that I can promote? They might have a family business in like one of the, furnace, air conditioner, like the trades. Like there might be a mechanic. They might be a handyman. They might be a builder. They might be a flower shop. Like, instead of always thinking about yourself, like think bigger about how can I find value and bring value to people in my sphere. When we were like during COVID, we didn't ask for business. I told my team, guys, we're going to go out and make a name for ourselves. You're going to call everyone in your sphere, and you're not going to ask for business. What you're going to do is you're going to see, is there anyone who needs groceries picked up? Does anyone need a prescription picked up? Is there anything that you can do for your sphere that they think about you when they do need to buy or sell? And then one company that I highly recommend, I got cut off here. It's called Fellow. It's not, you do have to spend some money on Fellow. Like if there's one thing you need to spend some money on, Fellow is it. It's probably going to be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 per month. And basically what Fellow does is it sends every 2 weeks a notification for the seller to check their home value. They can either check their home value or ask for a cash offer. And you can have all of your, like if you have leads from years and years ago from other platforms, they send everybody this information. And then when someone checks their price, you get a notification. So this is something that if you guys want to ask me after, like I can get you potentially a discount on it just because I know the owner with it. But fellas, like for seller lead generation and nurturing, it's been the best platform that I've seen. So again, it does take some work because you do have to make some phone calls, but it's just a quick touch. Like, hey, I saw you check your home value. What do you think? Do you think it was high, low, or just about right? Oh, I can change that for you. Well, what brought you to the website? Again, this is script practice that we've done. So those are the few things. Any other questions? I see someone said they did an open house every week, my first year, sometimes 2 per weekend. Yeah, you did, Fritz, that's amazing. You did 34 sides doing all open. I literally think if you just did open houses at a high level, you could make $100,000 or more. So really my question for you guys is, and people always think I need more real estate leads. I think the number one gap in our business is the follow-up. And I talked about this a little bit before. 95% of leads are not ready to do anything. Everyone wants more leads, but oftentimes you get more leads that you just can kind of consider junk. Like the nurturing is what's extremely important. Now you need to have a good follow-up plan and a proven sales process, and then you have skills. So we're going to talk a little bit about like just the follow-up. So what is your process for follow-up? So pros have a consistent follow-up plan each day. And then my question for you guys, and this might sound weird, but are you hanging up on your clients? I think most of you guys are probably hanging up on your clients more than they're hanging up on you. Now, I'm not saying like, yes, you're physically hanging up on them. I hope you're not doing that. But what I mean by hanging up on your clients is if you've not set your next appointment with them, if you're just like, hey, you know what? If you see something you like, call me back. Oh, if it doesn't work out with that other real estate agent, give me a call. Like if you're not setting up that next appointment, you're technically hanging up on your clients because the likelihood of them calling you is almost nil. So, when you're sending listings out and you're setting them up on auto prospect, set the next appointment. Say, hey Fritz, I'm going to I'm going to send you these listings. Would it be all right if I call you tomorrow at either 3 or 4 o'clock? And I want to confirm that you got this and I got these set up properly. You guys we always want to have the next follow-up, because otherwise we lose these people. And this is all about like having that good follow-up plan. And then when you have that conversation, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to touch base with you in 30 days and give you an update on the real estate market. Are you okay with that? Instead of like, when they're like, yeah, we'll buy in 6 months, you call them, in 5 months and they've already bought. Like having a consistent follow-up plan is what separates the pros from the average agent. So we implemented what's called the 3x3x3 program. Do you guys know? Put in the chat, what is the average amount of contacts it takes today to convert a lead? Now this is through calls, texts, and emails. Just quickly type in the chat there. And I will ask you guys while I'm waiting for that to come up. How many of you guys call more than 2 times? How many call more than 5 times, more than 10 times? Greg says 10. Lacey says 7. Now, obviously, I'll be 12. Now, obviously, different leads are going to have different life, like a Zillow lead is going to be better than, a YLOP or Commissions Inc. But Fritz is called like the average touches, whether it be phone call or text, is 35. How many of you guys are hanging on to a lead that long and working it that long before it just is like, oh, I've called them 5 times. They're not going to answer anymore. Most of the answers is most of the calls and the touches that we make like are between like the 5 and 15. Like the first 5, we usually don't reach them. It's between that 5 and 15. So we've implemented what's called the 3x3x3. It goes like this. It's 3 calls a day, the first 3 days, 3 calls a week, the next 3 weeks, and 3 calls a month, the next 3 months. So it's 3 calls a day the first 3 days. And what I do is I do a double, like our team does the double dial. Like that works way better than just calling them once and then calling them an hour later. It's you call them, you ring, they don't answer, you call them immediately back. And so many people answer the second time. And then I would also call them a third. Sometimes you can't reach them right when they get on, and then you call them again. Because what happens is most of the time when people are on their website or your website, they're waiting for their kids, but they're waiting for something to happen. They're not with their kids. And if you wait 5 or 10 minutes, like even speed to lead, and I won't get into that much, but speed to lead is pretty important. But calling them the double dial, it makes them think that, oh, this must be important or something's wrong. And then you just have a conversation with the LP man. And then 3 calls a week for the next 3 weeks. So you just, maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then 3 calls a month the next 3 months. And after that, you're at like 20 some calls. Like you've given it a good try, and maybe you just have like a lead pond where you go to and you don't have anything going. But that's our plan with our team, the 3x3x3. Always set up the next appointment. It is extremely important, and I'll talk a little bit about this. But after we've set the appointment, we always send a video, email, or text. And it goes something like this. Be like, hey, Rob, it was great talking to you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to meet with you tomorrow. Just looking forward to showing you properties. I'm going to start working on this now. If you have about 5 minutes, if you can review our landing page, it goes over a lot of the benefits of what our team does and goes over all of our reviews. Can you commit to just taking a look at that? So I'll talk a little about, but social proof, like your reviews, if you guys don't have a lot of reviews or good reviews, you need to build that. Like I'd encourage you to try to get to like 50 on Google. Like we have close to 400. Like it is that important because everyone searches you after they've talked with you. Now you think, well, I've only had 10 sales. The thing with Google is you don't have to have done a sale with a person. So start asking your friends. Start asking family members, start asking people in your pickleball group. Like you just need them to say, hey, I've worked with them, or they're a great person, or when I decide to buy or sell, I know they're, a person of integrity. I'm going to work with them. Like it's that important to get reviews, because when you send out this, like we sent out a text to be like, hey, take a look at our Google reviews. Like they already know me. They already trust me just because they see all of our reviews. So it's one thing to set the appointment. It's now let's certify, let's just validate what we're saying with what other people are saying. And then what's extremely important, I don't know if you guys have a CRM. I don't know if you guys heard this before. What's the best CRM? And the best CRM is the one that you actually use. We set all of our clients that we've talked with or potential leads into A, B, B, C, or D. So the CRM basically works this way. We'll tag them as an A if there's someone who's ready to do something soon. So every 3 days, it's going to remind us to follow up with this person. The AB is every 7 days, B is 14 days, C is 30 days, and D is anywhere from 60 to 75 days. So someone's like, hey, I want to buy in 6 months, we probably put them in D category. If they're like, hey, we want to buy in 2 weeks, well, they're in A. And this is where most agents fail, is they work so hard to get new leads, and they don't work on the leads that they have. And with having the CRM, that kind of tells you because I call someone today in the A, and it's not going to show up for me until 3 days later. I don't need to change a task. It just automatically does that. We use Follow Up Boss, but I know there's a lot of software out there that does similar. But I encourage you, if you guys don't have a CRM, you need to start using. I don't know how you would sell real estate without one. And then before the appointment, this is me just confirming them that they looked at our stuff. And it's just a text message. I'm looking forward to meeting you this afternoon. Did you have a chance to review our platform to see the benefits of working with our team? If not, please review before our meeting. I want them to see information about our team before they even meet us. Send them to your Zillow review. Like get some reviews and send that, so that when you're going there, you're going to be a much better chance of competing. So now be consistent. This is a question that I think is fairly easy, but if you guys want to just chat it below, who's going to make more money? The agent who makes one day a week makes 300 calls, or agent B 5 days a week, they make 20 calls. Like who's going to make more money? And it actually, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, the Chinese bamboo tree. It's the most wild thing I've ever heard of. But it's this tree that you plant, and you have to water it every single day for 5 years. For 5 years, you don't see any growth. It's all growing on beneath. But if you miss a day or two, you can end up, this tree can end up dying. But on the 6th year, what happens? It grows 80 feet in 6 weeks. It's that consistent touches that make all the difference. Whoops. It's consistency, guys. So like for our team, our goal, and it's a pretty simple goal, is to have 15 2-minute conversations every single week. And ours tracks on Follow Up Boss, but 15 2-minute conversations. So like you guys can see from me from the start of the year, I've had 36 appointments, 375 2-minute conversations. Like I average, and I don't work Saturday or Sunday, so it doesn't take into account, but if you count it every day, I average about 30 calls per day. So I'm probably at 40 to 45 calls per day. But if you look at the number one agent on my team this year, he's made 874. So he's making about 20 calls per day, and he has set 15 appointments. This is Peggy, our inside sales agent. It's that consistent see that she's done and that we've done and that Ryan's done. That is going to propel you. Like I want you guys to be that Chinese bamboo tree. Like it takes a long time to get that train moving, but once you get moving and doing it and calling people and staying consistent, that's where you see the growth. That's where you see the $100,000. It's those agents who go in one day and they make 300 calls and they're like, I'm done. I'm burned out. I'm not going to make a call for the next, 3 days. We got to be consistent. It's so crucial in this industry. And then once you have close, guys, like this is where, and I can do a whole class on this, just the after the close follow-up with client events. Here I show you guys my reviews, but the touches after the close, if you really want to grow your business, I see agents who they spend so much money on leads and then they don't follow up with their clients after close. So after the close, we have a specific plan. One day after the close, you touch base with them. How's the home? How are things going? Do you have any questions? 1 week later, they've moved in. Hey, it's been a week. Can you believe? How are things going? Anything I can help you with? You also call them on 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. But 3 months, you might call them and what happens? There might be an issue. They might have a furnace issue or a tax issue or, they need a closing statement. And it's like, oh, crap, they just asked me to do something. The reality, guys, is that if they're asking you for something, it's your time to be there for them. This is actually how we've grown our business so much. It's the after the close follow-up. I want to encourage you guys to set up a process where after the close, you stay in touch. And if they ask you for something, that's when they're going to refer you business for years and years. Guys, I have about 3 more minutes here. And I'm going to end with this. This is kind of like my plan. If you submit or plan on just 18 hours a week to push you to $100,000, like 18 hours is what it takes. Now, I realize that once you start building on things, like it's going to be more than 18 hours. Like you're going to have showings and open house and like all those things. But 18 hours of specific work is going to get you there. So here's what I would do. 15 minutes to educate yourself on the market. I don't know if you guys knew, but 2 weeks ago, interest rates hit a 4-month low. That's been a conversation that I have on follow-ups. Who do you think should know about that? Every single one of your clients should know that interest rates hit 2-month low. Today it was announced that there's going to be 2 interest rate reductions by sometime this year. Like those are the sort of things that we need to educate our clients on with the follow-up to say, hey, I know you said you're going to look into buy in 6 months. I don't know if you heard, but interest rates had a 4-month low just last week. Does that change your position at all? Do you want to take advantage of that now before the market gets crazy, before interest rates go even lower and prices go way up? Like 15 minutes to educate yourself. 15-minute huddle with your team or coach. This is something that we do. Really, you guys just need an accountability partner to say, hey, did you do what you said you're going to do? And that's what we just have these daily calls as a quick touch base. Hey, did you say what you did? Did you do what you said you were going to do yesterday? And what are you going to do today? 15 minutes of role play. Find someone to do a role play. Then 1 hour of prospecting, 1 hour of follow-up. Like how many times you guys, I know you say you're busy, but how much of that time when you're busy are you actually working? 1 hour of prospecting, 1 hour of follow-up. 1 hour of prospecting can fill the pipeline. The 1 hour of follow-up keeps the pipeline filled and moving forward. And then the other things on the end, 1 open house a week And then we also do a 1 hour role play, like I really think that role play, Tom Brady would say, that practice is extremely important. Allen Iverson might disagree. He talks about practice, but for our team, it's been crucial. But that's what I got for you guys today. So I appreciate you being on. I know it's getting late. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can email me, you can call me.